You have to hand it to the PFA. They got the awards right. I was sad looking at that pile of players.
Liam, Brady, appreciate you having us here at your home in Brighton. Now this year it's the 50th anniversary of the PFA Awards. You were Players' Player in 78, 79. Where does it rank in your achievements in your career?
Oh, it would be very much up there with the best of things that ever happened to me. I've had a great career in football. What am I? I'm 67 now. I started when I was 15, so I've had 52 years in the game, on and off. You asked me about the things I've won. The FA Cup in 79, which obviously had a lot to do with getting this award, and 2 league titles in Serie A with Juventus, and then my Irish caps, and then the PFA award. So
in that order, yeah.
Yeah, it's very high up the list of things the great things that have happened to me.
And when you look back at that season, 78, 79 season, when you get PFA's Player of the Year, you win the FA Cup, did you feel as if you were playing the best football of your career in that year?
Yeah, that was my best season at Arsenal. I was kicked off the season. I would have been 22 years of age, and I'd been nominated maybe once for Young Player of the Year, for the PFA Award, Young Player of the Year. So I was beginning to do all right, and but 78, 79 season was really, really good. You know, in those days, you weren't that often on TV, and if you got on TV and you played well, you put you in people's minds if they're going to vote for you or not.
Everyone I've spoken to when we've been doing those interviews, I want to try to understand what your mentality was like going into those games. Obviously a successful Arsenal team, but what was the culture like at the club during that time that allowed you to go on and have so much success both individually and in a strong team?
Well, we had a very strong team. We didn't have a strong squad. Probably would have cost us. That would have cost us ever challenging for the league. You know, it was mainly about 13, 14 players, and then the backup was young lads. But we had also a big Irish contingent at Arsenal at the time. There was 7 players in the squad, and sometimes, most weeks, 6 of us were playing. You know, you had Pat Jennings in goal. He's a winner of the PFA award.
Get to him shortly.
Pat Rice was our captain. Sammy Nelson as a left back. Dave O'Leary was one of the greatest centre backs you'd ever see. And Frank Stapleton would be our goal scorer. And John Devine came along a bit later. So we had 7, and then we had Brian Talbot in midfield, Willie Young, Alan Sunderland, all really, really, really good players. David Price. We weren't ever really challenging for a league, but we were a very difficult team to beat in any of the cups. And we got to 3 FA Cups on the trot, 78, 79, 80.
And when you decided to move to Serie A, you're one of the very first signings when the transfer window lifted again for Italy to be able to sign players. Was that a difficult decision? Because not many people, or very few people, were making a move abroad during that time.
Well, Kevin Keegan and Tony Woodcock had gone to Germany, and they'd made a great success of it in a year or 2 prior to me leaving Arsenal. Particularly Keegan, he went to Hamburg and he won the league with Hamburg. He really raised the standard at Hamburg, and he became European Player of the Year for a couple of times. So he kind of got me thinking about moving abroad, and then luckily for me, in 1980, Italy allowed foreign players to be signed again, and I went to Juventus. So really, Keegan got me thinking about moving abroad.
Did you ever have a conversation before you moved out?
No. We've had them since, yeah. And what he went through at Liverpool, I went through at Arsenal a bit, you know. So he's also a former winner of this award, and what a player he was in the mid-70s. Yeah. He was absolutely brilliant before he went to Hamburg.
Italy's a success. You win 2 Serie A titles. How did you find the culture? Did you have to change much as a player? Obviously, you're at the top of your game. You moved to a new country, a different style of play. How did you manage that transition?
Well, I think if if you can play the game to a decent level, you can probably cope any country. The Italians are more defensive than the English, but the game is a bit slower, more tactical. At least it was then. In England, it was a bit hustle and bustle, pressure on the ball all over the pitch. In Italy, it wasn't quite like that. But it took me 2, 3, 4 months to adapt to it. But I enjoyed it in the end, and I had nearly 7 years there before I came back to West Ham, which we must mention because West Ham had a great time there as well.
And when you look back over the 300 odd games you played at Arsenal, 300 games you played at Arsenal, winning the Serie A, is there a moment or a game in your career that you remember fondly that you wish you could go back and experience again?
Well, probably the Tottenham supporters watching this won't like this, but we beat Tottenham on the 23rd of December 1978. We beat them 5-0 at White Hart Lane, and that was possibly one of the best games I ever played for Arsenal, and might have had quite a bit to do with me winning the PFA award. It was just one of those days where everything went right for us and didn't go very well for Spurs.
Well, looking back, you're in a very good group of players here. So every person we speak to who's won the PFA award has got the tough job of choosing their all-time PFA Players Play a Five-a-side team. So we've got the goalkeepers. Unfortunately, there's only 2 to choose from. Then we've got defenders, midfielders, forwards. You get 5 and a sub.
Oh, and a sub.
You get 5 and a sub. So we're going to start at the top of the pitch, or we're going to start with a goalkeeper?
No, we start with a goalkeeper.
Are you playing a goalkeeper? Because a few people have just played rush keeper.
Playing a goalkeeper. Well, this guy, Pat Jennings, could play outfield as well, so he was very good. I remember him playing in the five-a-sides. He was excellent. Never wanted to play in goal in the five-a-sides. So we'd probably spend a bit of time playing out. But Pat...
Keeper ahead of his time then?
Well, he was, he could have handled, the rule and then was he could pick up the ball. And the back pass now, you can't pick it up, but Pat could have done that quite comfortably. Great goalkeeper, great person, great professional. He'd be my number 1.
Great. Now, this is where it gets interesting. Are we going with 1 at the back, 2 at the back? Got a pile of defenders for you here. Not many have won the award, but a great pile for you to choose from.
Well, again, I'm going to be biased. I'm going to be very biased in my selection of this team. It's going to be an Irish team, predominantly. And there's the man, Paul McGrath, who I played with for Ireland for, many, many games. And Paul could play midfield and defence. But in this five-a-side team, he'd be my central defender and my main defender.
Paul McGrath's been chosen a few times. How special was he, and what was he best at?
Well, he could just do everything. He could.
It's not a bad thing, is it?
He wasn't a nasty player. He was a very good tackler. Timing of his tackles, he could read the game. He could head the ball. He played wonderful. I played many times with him in midfield, where we were the 2 central midfield players, and very comfortable on the ball and could score a goal, Paul. So he had everything that you'd want in the kind of player that would make a great team.
So Paul McGrath's going in. Are we having another defender, or are we onto the midfielders?
No, we're onto the midfield now.
Anyone else in there who you think should get an honourable mention?
Well, I played against Norman. He was a great lad, great player. Van Dijk recently, been unbelievable for Liverpool. John Terry, what a leader he was. Colin Todd, one of the quickest defenders you ever come up against. Who's that? Oh, that's the Man United central defender.
Gary Pallister.
Yeah, he wasn't bad. I had a great partnership with Steve Bruce. Yeah, very good. But I didn't play against him, so I'm a little bit biased, So I'm going to go for
Paul
McGrath because I played with him. And in the midfield players...
this is a hell of a pile, honestly.
Yeah, there's only one guy that sticks out to me, and that's that fella. You'd want him alongside Paul.
Got the green. He's going straight in.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah. I never got to play with Roy Keane. I played against him I was coming to the tail end and he was beginning to start, you know.
Did he pay you respects when you during that game?
I can't really remember.
Yeah.
I can't really remember. Roy tried to kick most players, so he was what a leader he was for Manchester United, an absolutely brilliant player.
I'll tell you what, it'll be hard to choose a captain so far in this team, wouldn't it?
Well, we make Pat captain.
Yeah.
We make Pat captain because he's the elder statesman. He would have been the oldest in the team. So Roy, and then I picked myself, if I may, because I never got to play with Keane.
You're in.
So I put myself there. Okay.
Yeah. In you go.
Okay.
Perfect.
I'd just play in front of.
So are you going with? Do you want the forward pile?
I've got.
You got a sub. You have got one sub.
Yeah. Well, I'd go for Thierry Henry up front. You know, I saw him play so many years at Arsenal, and what a wonderful player.
It's the only one out of you've chosen so far you didn't play with.
No, I saw him up close many's the time, and.
Is he the greatest forward in the Premier League era for you?
Well, there was another one played alongside him who I'd have a sub and swap them over. I thought I saw him in there earlier on.
Might be in the midfield, pal.
I'm after Dennis Bergkamp.
Oh, he's in here. He's in here. You got another whole big pile here.
Well, no, Dennis Bergkamp. Where is he? Yeah, there he is. Like.
I like that you've stuck with Irish players and Arsenal players.
I'm afraid I'm a bit biased.
Dennis Bergkamp.
But I don't think anybody could argue with the quality of the team. Maybe me, maybe they say better midfield players than me, but I would have loved to play with Keane, Bergkamp and Henry, so I'm putting myself in the team.
It's a great team. Is there anyone in here who nearly snuck through the Arsenal and Ireland?
There's so many great players in there. I mentioned Keegan, you know, Gareth Bale, Barnesy, John Barnes, what a player he was at Liverpool. Steven Gerrard, great player at Liverpool as well. Dalglish, yeah, you know, you could easily stick him in the team up front. What a person, what a player. You have to hand it to the PFA. They got the awards right. I was sad looking at that pile of players, and I'm just privileged to be one of the guys that made it.
Yeah, when you look through the list and you look through the calibre of players, it must be a good feeling.
It is, yeah, absolutely, yeah. Very proud of the award in 1979.
Well, Liam Brady, that's your PFA five-a-side team. Appreciate it.